Okay, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to show you how to fix a hole in drywall. It doesn't really matter what your situation is, how that hole got there, if someone put a foot through it or a fist through it. In our situation here, we had a pool put in, and so they had to run this new electrical line down through here. So they cut out what looked like an odd shaped hole out of here, just enough so that they could do their job. But they didn't patch it, so that kind of sucks. So now I'm going to show you how to patch this hole up. Again, this wasn't as neat and clean as it is right now. They really cut down straight through the middle here, and they made kind of like a weird cutout to here. So they didn't expose either of these studs really well. So this one was a little bit exposed, but not as cleanly as it is now. So you'll read a bunch of stuff about throwing on home kit patch things that you can get at Home Depot and that sort of thing. It's not nearly going to be as strong as patching to the studs that are already in the wall. So what I did here, first of all, was I measured and I used a level. So I found the studs with a stud finder, and I measured and basically made one straight line down here. It's easier if you make it into a square or a rectangle or something like that. It's easier to cut and fit a piece of drywall in there than trying to make some kind of odd shape. Did the same thing across the bottom. So you can see my pencil marks here. I made a pencil mark and basically made it so that it was a straight line so I could square it up. Found the stud on the other side, and I did the same thing. Made a straight line so that I had half of my stud exposed. So the reason I wanted to do that is because now I have something to drill into. So I did that and I cut my piece out. I had a little bit of a weirdness thing here where they cut out to here, so I had to cut out and basically make my shape a little bit odd, right? But that's pretty easy to do. So let me show you how to quickly cut drywall. It's really simple to do. Anybody can do this. It's very simple to do. The front of drywall is going to look like this, which is going to be like a grayish pattern, and the back drywall looks like this. So you want your cleanest cuts of your drywall to be in your front, so they look like this. So they're nice and kind of smooth, but you're still going to have to do some patchwork, but kind of smooth. So here's how you do it on a piece of drywall that I have left over. So you'd make your straight line, then using a blade carefully, you follow that straight line. And you're going to want to go over this a couple times. So you're really cutting through that top layer of paper first. Helps if you had a sharper knife than I do, because mine's pretty dull because I didn't have new blades here when I found out I had to do this. Then the easiest piece of this is this. This is why you want to make it as square as you can, because the easiest part of this is, then once you do that a couple times, it breaks pretty evenly. Just like that. So then you can easily flip it over, and you just have to really cut the back piece of the paper off. I'm trying to show you how to do here on camera, which is harder to do than... And you have a square piece. So that's really how you cut it. That's how I did all these little pieces and stuff like that, is I cut it that way. Again, sharper the blade, the better. This one, not so sharp. So it'll easily cut through that. Make sure you don't cut yourself. Always put it away when you're done. Okay, that's my safety tips. Like I said, when I measured this and I made a straight line here on this with my level here, when I made that straight line, same process as I just showed you for cutting and splitting drywall. The only difference is you're going to have to keep going over it until you get deeper and deeper. Put your blade fully extended. It'll go all the way through. It'll go all the way through to the back of the 2x4 that's there. So you got to keep going through, keep going through, keep going through. Now, if you're trying to break a big piece off the wall, like I did on this side, where it was, they left this weird shape from here to here. It was really easy. Just keep cutting through, cut through. You can pull the whole piece and it'll snap. This side I had a little piece. It sucked. So, two things you can do with that. With this little piece, you can't really snap it over really well. So I just cut through it, cut through it, cut through it, and I used the pliers to just basically grab and pull those pieces out, or vice grips to pull those pieces out. So that's what I did for that. Okay, so then I just used the pliers to basically pry this little piece out there, and then I used my knife to just kind of shave it down to the shape I need it to be. So I shaved down the chalky part off of it so it got as smooth as I can. As you can see, you might get a couple screws because you're on a stud, and that's the whole reason we want to be on these studs too, on these 2x4s, is so we can hit the screws with it as well. So, after that, did a little cleanup on that, and basically the piece should fit in there pretty snug. You're always going to have spacing around it because you're going to get as close as you can. You'll always have a little bit of spacing in there. It's not that big a deal. We're going to mud that in, but you can see now it's strong because it's sitting on studs. So we're going to put a couple screws in here and here, here and here, and then we'll show you some mudding quick. So the last thing I like to do is I like to get this mesh tape. So it's really easy. You basically just put it on. Try not to overlap it because you don't want to get too far off the wall. So you can see I ran the vertical ones first and I ran the horizontal one in between it and just cut it so it's fits in perfectly. And then mudding. So you probably have to do a couple coats of mudding depending on how good you are. You might want to mud, sand until you get it as smooth as you want. So I'm going to throw on a coat of mud. What I got is lightweight spackling. It's really pretty quick and easy. Mine's kind of old a little bit, but I think it'll do the job. To get seams done, you can see right, this is just really going to be like the first coat going over it. You don't want to really mud the whole thing if you don't have to. Just really mud the seams. Less sanding, the better. And so that's all you really want to do is keep doing that. You clearly don't want to see the mesh behind it, so I'm going to have to mud a couple times to get over it, or just put on one good sized coat on it. Okay guys, so the last time we talked, I was taping this up and getting the mudding ready to paste this because this is where they had the hole that they made for doing the electrical work for the pool. So you can still see a little bit of the seam here. So I got a little bit of a seam right here. This is all the new stuff that was put in. I taped it so that way it will limit some of the cracking that could occur between the different pieces of drywall and the new piece. Did that. I put some spackling paste over it that I got at Home Depot. It's about $8 for this little thing. And just used some putty knives and got it as smooth as I possibly could over the tape and over the patchwork that was done. And then just slightly sanded it. So take off as much of the extra paste that you can, so it's as smooth as you can on the edges. So just sanded a lot of that off. And then what I'll do is a couple of these little spots here where you can still see a little bit of the seam work. I'll put a little bit more in there, give one light coat of sanding on it again, make it as smooth as possible. And then that's really it. Then I'll paint it. I have to paint a lot of this garage anyways, there's marks in it. So I'll paint this wall of the garage to make it look like you can't even see the hole. So that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. I will answer them below. Comment below, give us thumbs up, keep watching our videos. We'll do some more do-it-yourself things as we go along. Thanks.